So, as we're talking about sorry and saying sorry and being sorry, because I can say I'm sorry and not be sorry, and I can be sorry and not say I'm sorry. I just really got a lot out of what somebody said, a friend of mine this morning, about, no matter how much I say I'm sorry, not everyone's going to love me. And I think back I've lived in a bunch of different places. I think I'm a likable person. I like other people. I've had a lot of friends, some of them the better part of my adult life, and then others for only months at a time. And I reflect on, things that went down that were negative experiences, either for them or me or both of us, when we couldn't forgive. I think of long-term relationships I've had where there's been a lot of forgiveness, but it always seems like it's never enough. I think about the whole purpose of apologizing and what it means both to me. Let's just say in this case, I'm talking about me being the apologizer. What does it mean to me? And then what does it mean to another person? Because I can go into a conversation to apologize in order to make things better. And in fact, if the other person isn't open up and willing and forgiving, they're just going to see it as another level of the harm that I have perpetuated in the past. So I have to give a lot of reflection to both how I say I'm sorry, who I'm saying sorry to, and why I'm saying sorry. Because again, in some cases where the harm, and I use the word harm loosely and very specifically, because in some cases where the harm has been super deleterious, I just can't always make the right apology, and there's nothing I can do to clean it up because the person doesn't want to forgive me. And sometimes that person is me. So switching roles, I've had people say I'm sorry, or I've had conversations where I wanted to forgive, I wanted to heal, I wanted to stay in the relationship, but I just couldn't let go of the harm or offense or, and I'm not unloving, and it's not that I'm not unforgiving. It's just that sometimes time takes time. I want to always be open to forgiving. I want to be always be open to hearing someone apologize to me, and also to being willing to apologize myself. But I also understand sometimes time just hasn't been given enough time, and I don't have all the information. I had a situation a couple of years ago where I was living with somebody and I got so angry. And the funniest part about it was I got so angry while I was trying to be so kind and forgiving. But it was like I was taking little things personally and I wasn't letting them go. And then, like, after months of time of trying not to say things that I felt strongly about, I felt like hitting somebody. And that was really unhealthy and it was really uncomfortable. And I stayed that way for a really long time. I didn't want to know from this person. I didn't want to hear from them. I didn't want to see them on social media. I didn't want to know anything from anything about them, for them, of them, through them, with them, nada. And then I just really, like, one day I woke up and I was like, I don't think it matters anymore. I just don't think it's important. I just don't think it's really a big deal, right? And I think that moment came when I could see the clarity of what I had done to create that energy in me, and what I did to both not take care of myself and really not communicate as effectively as I could have in the relationship. Because you know what the truth is? I was afraid of the confrontation and I didn't want to communicate uncomfortable feelings because I thought they were petty, or I felt like I didn't have a right to feel that way. And la, 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 la. This isn't about what I have a right to feel or not. It's simply, and it's not about like PC shit, like trying to either like, oh, I could just tell you my feelings and let me tell you my feelings because they're the only thing that matters, or I'm so, I have it together that my feelings don't matter. My feelings matter, but you know who they matter to? Me, over here. That's about it. And I'm lucky to have other people in my life that my feelings do matter to. But saying I'm sorry isn't necessarily going to just like swipe it under the table. I'm going to add one more thing. I worked in the early 90s in a small public relations firm, and the manager was a beautiful black woman named Pat. And Pat said to me one time, we were talking about saying sorry, and she said, my mother told me, especially as a black woman, don't ever walk through life saying you're sorry. If you bump into someone, say, excuse me. And I'll always remember that. And I'm in airports and on subways and bumping into people, and I never say I'm sorry, unless I clocked them in the head and I could tell they were actually harmed. I would say, oh, I'm really sorry. But other than that, I say, excuse me. right? Because we're all bumping into each other, and like I probably could afford to say, excuse me while I get by, excuse me, I'm trying to go here," instead of like, "Arr," and, or being like, sorry, 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 or just like, tornadoing through people's lives. Let me just excuse myself when it's necessary, right? There was a valuable lesson in that for me. So hopefully you got something out of this. You don't have to crawl before anybody. All you do have to do is be honest with yourself, stand on your own 2 feet, and be willing to take responsibility for things that you've done that could have harmed somebody, and for the knowledge that even if you don't think you harmed somebody, maybe somebody thinks you did, and maybe just opening up a dialogue about that could help both you and the other person and the relationship, if you're capable of having that. And if you're not capable of having conversations like that, send me a message. I can help. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks for joining me.